Well, thank you all for joining us today on Time Space Visualiser. It's good to be back after a week off, and it is my great pleasure now to speak to someone who has a frankly vast Doctor Who CV, and that's before you get onto all the other things. So without further ado, let's have a big virtual round of applause at home for Jon Davey. Jon, it's great to see you. How are you doing?
I'm doing very well, thanks, and hello to everybody.
Holding up well in these odd times we find ourselves in?
Yeah, well, in fact, I'm actually quite enjoying it because I am a serial procrastinator, and for a long time I've been wanting to sort my office out, so I'm actually in my garage at the moment, and I spent the last couple of weeks insulating it and putting wood around and basically making it into a nice environment to hang out.
A bit of a Doctor Who shrine there at the back.
To bolster my ego, most of those little figures are ones that I've played.
I was going to say, there's a few there I definitely recognise. What was the first one you played on the programme?
The first creature I played was back in Season 2, one of the Cybermen in the Age of Steel, Rise of the Cybermen, Doomsday and Army of Ghosts. And I kind of accidentally got the job on Doctor Who. So I went for an open casting with about 50 other guys, and that was at the Llandaff studios, the old BBC studios in Llandaff. And I then met the amazing choreographer for Doctor Who, Elsa Burke, and we got, there was 50 of us guys there, and we spent a day doing lots of movement exercises. There is actually a video on YouTube, so people can actually find it. It was on Doctor Who Confidential when it was broadcast, but I know that the DVD versions were sometimes cut down. So yeah, we spent a day doing lots of movement exercises, and then at the end of the day, I was told by Steph Morris, who's still on the show now, that we did an audition to be the Cybermen, and obviously being a Doctor Who fan as a kid, it was pretty amazing. I then had to wait for a callback. I went to Millennium Effects that made the costumes, and if the proverbial suit fits, then we got the job. And then little did I know, after doing those 4 episodes, 15 years later, I would have ended up in 46 episodes of Doctor Who.
Like I said, it's a very impressive Doctor Who series. It's an impressive CV by anyone's standards, but by Doctor Who standards, that's an awful lot. I mean, there are doctors who've done fewer episodes than you have. Sure,
but you know, Paul McGann did 1 episode, and he is the Doctor. So, you know, but I'm absolutely amazed that I'm still back on the show, and as long as I stay off the biscuits and the cakes, I can still get squeezed into the costume.
Well, that's the only thing that's stopping me, unfortunately. I just can't stop the biscuits. Otherwise, I'd be there. I'd be there right beside you. It's not just the programme itself, though, that you've been involved in. We'll come back to that later, but I know that you've done a lot of live stuff. Now, I know you've done a lot of live stuff because the Doctor Who live tour, back whenever that was, when we were at Wembley, I was there. I was a very eager audience member, certainly into my 30s at that point. But there was a photograph in The Guardian where I look every bit the 11-year-old child that I think I was inside. And it turns out that actually the person inside the cyber suit that I'm staring up at was you.
Yeah, that was pretty amazing. I only really found that out a few years back. So I think it was 2010 was Doctor Who Live, which was a big arena touring show around the UK. It starred Nigel Planer playing a character called Vorgenson, son of Vorg, Carnival of the Monsters. And he had a minimizer and minimized the monsters for his traveling show, and then obviously the minimizer went wrong and all the monsters come out and run amok through the audience. But yeah, no, I absolutely loved doing that. It was actually the first live thing that I actually did. And to be honest, I actually preferred it to being on the show, because the problem is when you're actually filming something for television and film, lots can get lost in the edit. So we would do all of these really complicated rehearsals where we do all these amazing movement exercises. We're all marching around in time. And then when you see it on the show, there's a 2-second clip. So doing the live event there was amazing. Like what you said in Wembley, we were all moving in time to the music. And Ben Foster was there, the conductor and orchestrator at the time for Doctor Who. Playing Murray Gold's music with a band, and literally we were marching in time to the music, and we had to hit a spot at the exact same place. I think Wembley was something like 146 paces we had to do, and obviously hit the correct spot. So doing that in front of a live audience is absolutely amazing. And I guess it's the same thing. Actors doing theatre kind of like that more as an event than doing television because it's so stop and start. But yeah, that was so funny seeing that photograph of you staring at me, and that was probably 12 years before I even met you. So there was some sort of weird sort of convergence in space and time, and then Absolutely. 10 years later we met each other.
If ever there was going to be a weird convergence in space and time, it's going to be at a Doctor Who live event, it must be said. I understand what you mean about it being a different experience. I know a lot of actors, you referred to the theatre then, speak about the immediacy of the audience. You've got the feedback that you don't get. Did you find that with Doctor Who Live?
And what's really, really good fun is that we're in our costumes and we're looking at the audience, we're looking left and we're looking right, and we're just looking for people that look a little bit nervous. And so here's a secret. If you're doing a live event where someone's in a costume, if you look nervous, we're going to, come straight for you. So there was this young boy who was looking a little bit nervous on the front row, and the music started again and we started moving, and I just took one big step towards this kid and he literally shot out of his seat and ended up in the row behind him. But yeah, and again, it is fantastic because you do feed off the reaction to the audience. There was another live tour we did, the Doctor Who Symphonic Spectacular, which I did in 2014 in Australia, and then in 2015 the UK and Australia. And I've never experienced anything like that. It would have been Brisbane, and it was in an arena, and they sold 9,000 tickets. And then sold another 1,000 on the door. So there's pretty much 10,000 people in there. And all the audience is looking at the stage, and there's big video screens on the stage, and there's the orchestra, the QSO orchestra on stage playing the music to all the strange creatures. And then I come from front of house dressed as the Jadoon, and then march towards the stage. But everybody's backs are facing me, so they can't see where I'm coming from. All they can see is the live camera on me. So as soon as it clicked to me as a Jadoon, like you heard 10,000 people just cheer. And, I can never really get that feeling back. Also, what I would do is I'd creep up behind someone and then just tap them on the shoulder and then get a big scream out of them.
Yeah, I mean, and it's not as brilliant, although appearing in the series might be, you're not going to get that kind of feedback in the way that you do, and that kind of interplay with an audience.
I've heard so many actors also talking about it, that they'll do something and the director will say, yeah, that's fine, we got that. And then the actors thinking to themselves, well, that didn't feel good to me, but if it looks okay, and then you don't find out for months and how it actually looks. So yeah, doing the live events, it was fantastic. Also, the 2013 Doctor Who proms at the Albert Hall, I got dressed as one of the Whisper Men. Unfortunately, I had to undergo a 3-hour-long prosthetic process.
That's a heck of a process to undergo. Do you want to? I know you've got a video, kind of a time lapse that shows that with some photographs that you've done. Do you want to just kind of talk me through what happens in that process?
We did the Whisper Men on the show as well. I think I did 5 days in a row, and we had to be there at 4:00 in the morning, and then we didn't get out until about 9:00 at night. So the process, it was exactly the same in the Albert Hall. So basically, I had to be clean shaven around the face, and then they'd put a bald cap onto my head. and then the whole head, my whole head, will be painted with a substance called Pax, which is basically like glue and paint to give a base layer. Once that's done, I had foam latex pieces that went around my mouth, and it was a face piece, forehead and cheeks. Again, that was all painted with Pax to create this base layer. The very final process part was and it's specifically a Dorothy Perkins white stocking, because apparently that was the only stocking that the guys at Millennium Effects could find that could actually stretch in the correct way.
I don't know what that says about the punters of Dorothy Perkins, but there we are.
But before that was put on, dark shading was put on to obviously give detail once the stocking went over our head. So the stocking goes on over the head, the mouth then gets cut, and then the cut stocking gets glued around our lips, which is pretty tricky because you can't really close your lips because the glue will reactivate and stick back there. And then the very final process was a set of prosthetics teeth that was created by Chris Lyons from Fangs Effects, that then go into our mouth. And in fact, I've actually got those teeth right here.
Oh!
So we had a mould from our mouth that was created, and then that gave an impression. So it was literally just like a dental process.
Yeah.
And then the imprint of the teeth are on the back.
Oh. Horrendous. Are they uncomfortable?
They just kind of stick onto your teeth. The only thing is it does make you end up sounding a bit like Janet Street Porter.
I'm sure that place on the Loose Women panel is assured for you.
Ah, yes.
Are there any other bits and bobs you've been able to keep, or shouldn't I ask that question?
Oh, in fact, one other thing that I did get to keep, or I took it out the bin, was the base layer for the Whisper Man.
Oh, yeah.
The people at Millennium Effects did a very good job of actually getting it off in one piece. So,
wow. Okay. Wow. That is, again, absolutely hideous. Having seen the video and now seeing those parts, you can kind of see how it all goes together. But that is a spectacular job. Look at that.
I know, it was lovely. So yeah, I'm very lucky to have you.
What a beautiful thing. You talked about the various different live events. Another live event that I know I saw you at was the final day of. Everyone loved it, but it's gone now. The Doctor Who Experience in Cardiff, down in the Lock. How was that? That was quite a sad day, I thought, but and bumped into you there. Did you go through? I know when I saw you, you were being a unit soldier. Did you go through many other kind of roles on that particular day?
I think I was dressed as a unit soldier, an Ood, but also as a Dalek in the actual interactive walkthrough. I can't remember who it was, but I recognised someone, and I came up to them as the Dalek and started prodding them with my sucker in a soft part of their body.
Yeah. I mean, you know, it's something you could only get away with as a Dalek, I strongly suspect. And it was a wonderful day. It was a shame to see it go. But yes, I remember you coming across. Saw you right across on that top floor, marching over in a terribly butch way with the gun and the outfit, and then. The least butch thing we could possibly have done was have a great big hug in front of everyone, which was it was quite a thing. I think people look very confused, but you know what? That's what Unit's all about: loving and sharing. Okay. Recently, you've been back on the series. Do you want to kind of just tell us how that's been? I mean, is it terribly different as it's gone on? Has it developed into something quite different? How did you find it this time?
Well, this series, I was in Spyfall Part 2. I was one of the kind of the goons, one of the heavies, which having a shaved head always gets me those roles. The car pulls up and Graham's there with his laser shoes shooting at us. Then I was back in episodes 9 and 10 as a Cyberman. It was absolutely fantastic. Ray Holman, the costume designer, did an amazing job of designing it, and then Rob Alsop manufactured them. And they were really good fun. So I did the Cybermen stuff, and then when we did episode 10, it was like, oh, here's a cloak and here's a new head. And I was like, hang on. And at this point, I didn't exactly know the story as such. And I was like, hang on, these frills on the head look very Gallifreyan to me. And then when that whole scene played out, then obviously, the penny dropped.
I was going to say, was that how much of it do you know when you're on set? How much did you know in that instance when you were on set of what was involved?
The third AD, Lauren, was very good, and she gave us a load of backstory on it. So we were really happy about that, because sometimes you'll turn up and someone will just go, we'll just walk from here to there. And we're like, well, why? Why are we walking there? What's our motivation? You need to kind of understand these things. It was great. We did that day. Then we did another day in a power station, which was meant to be the Cyberman spaceship. And then we did another day in an abandoned warehouse near Pontypool. And it was exactly the same warehouse that they used for Planet of the Ood and Voyage of the Damned and the Sultaran Stratagem. And then we went back to the studio to do the very final scene with the Doctor, with us dressed as the Cyber Time Lords.
Amazing. It's always the most glamorous locations you get to go to as well, isn't it?
It is, yeah. Unfortunately, I haven't been lucky enough to go to any of the Spanish locations abroad.
Spain, South Africa, they're getting out there.
I'm just happy to be doing what I'm doing according to my careers officer at school, and obviously they're grown-ups and they obviously know what they're doing. They said that I should be working on a building site as a labourer, so
there we go.
Anything above that is a bonus to me.
Absolutely right. Well, funnily enough, being a labourer on a building site, one of the most enjoyable jobs I've ever done. Believe it or not, I did do that for a while. I've had a lot of jobs. But yeah, given the choice between labouring on a building site and being a Doctor Who monster, I know which I'd rather do. So I'll stop eating the pies. I'll maintain my chest size as it is now that the Cybermen are bigger, and I'll be with you on the next series.
Do it.
So what do you think the future holds then? Are you liable to be back? Are we liable to see you in Doctor Who anytime soon?
Well, I hope so. I've got no idea when they're filming, but I know that it's not until much later on in the year. And obviously, with what's happened now as well, it may be even later on. So it's all up in the air. But at the moment, I'm quite enjoying the time off. I'm getting time to literally do all of those jobs that I've been putting on the back burner for the last 2 years. And and enjoying the weather, except for today. It's raining. It's been like the first rain that we've had for the last, we've had like sunny skies for 2 weeks. So
it's been beautiful.
Yeah, so I've been working on my tan.
It's looking good. Looking good.
And I normally start most mornings by jumping in the hot tub as well and just, getting the old body warmed up.
On that note, I'm going to have to wrap it up. Our time has come to an end. It's an absolute pleasure to talk to you, Jon, as always. And I've never had the pleasure, actually, of interviewing you on stage. So when this is all over, it will be lovely to see you at an event, and we can have a bit of a natter and maybe one of your famed PowerPoint slideshows. I'd like that.
So just before I go, I'm going to, kind of recite a poem. It was something that I wrote. Yeah, something that I wrote as a rap originally. I watched the Jimmy Fallon show and watched Daniel Radcliffe performing at Alphabet Aerobics, which is a really complicated A to Z rap. And at the time, I thought it would be really cool if someone did this, but about Doctor Who monsters. So stupidly, I thought, I could do that. I've got absolutely no musical experience whatsoever. So I started writing it and then gave up. And then the Doctor Who experience was about to close. And I thought, it'd be really cool if I could actually perform it there and record it. And Jamie Hill, who was one of the managers there, and also he was the Foretold Mummy and the Monk and the Silence, he very kindly let me in on an evening. And I recorded it, and it went out on the Doctor Who Facebook page, and it's also on my YouTube channel. So if anybody wants to do a better version of it, and I'm sure there's lots of people that can do a much better version of it, please do it. All the lyrics are written on there as well. So I'm not going to rap it today. I'll probably do it a bit more of a spoken word.
Sounds good to me. I can't wait. Sounds great.
Azorbeloff absorbing allies available. Adolescent adipose atrophy attainable. Bokine breathing billionaire barrowman, boneless bidimensional Banksy-S bitumen, Catkine concealing the cure for contagion, Cybermen converting the cranium, Daleks delivering diabolical destruction, Davros, designer, dictator, disruptor, Elijah eternally entangled excavation, Emojibot excited by every extermination, Foretold frightening fair goers faster, Futurekind ferocious, fleeing fifth master, Gallifreyans guarding with greatness good going, great intelligence Gandalf and Grant all knowing, Hath handles hate from Havanir's history, headless monks heretics hounded by delivery, Ice warrior infiltrated are in fact inside, Isolus ionic power scribbled image resides, Jagglefest jaws jammed by the brave journalist, Jadoon Jal gibberish japes with the Joneses, Cantavari dream crab clinging to forgetfulness, K1 Kettlewell kill Gareth killing mess, Lady Kaz lending Lucretia style scam, Laszlo looks like a Lincolnshire lawman, Maya meets Maisie medieval mayhem, Mr. Sweet mysterious manipulate the brainstem, Nesting nervous nibbling neurosis, Nymon's never full nom-nom network myth, Ood on side and occasionally oppressed, Ogron's ordered, organising obsessed, Pig slave picking, products for all procedure, Peg dolls panicking, people in prop keeper, Quark quickly quells all quarrelling quotes, Queen Bat milk cures the quarantine antidote, Red Rachnos refusing relocation rudely, Richard Lazarus rejuvenation unready, Silent citing scribble very secretly, Sultaran Strax similarities seemingly, Tall teller trouble with telekinetic torture, T-Rex trampling in Thames turgid water, Unit united under uniformity, Uvondi urgency unhinged uncertainty, Vashta vanquishing victims in the verges, Vigil violent with value verses, Whispermen Walter wrecked in the resting place, Winders wire pulling ward off the worst case, Xmistry extermination endings extra, Zeraphina Zaraphath Zylot Zyster, Yana yelling at utopian young, Yeti yomping yards of yellow yak yarn, Zapping zombies in Zero's edit zone, Zygon overzealous zealot xenophobe.
Ah! I am suitably impressed. That is a heck of a tongue twister. Yes, if anyone at home would like to give that a go, any or all of the above, then it would be great to see your videos of that. Jon, thank you so much. It's been brilliant to chat to you. And like I say, it'd be lovely to see you soon. In the meantime, stay safe, enjoy doing the garage out, and from everyone at home, a huge round of applause.
Thank you. Stay safe, stay sane.